Hello, I thought it would be fun and interesting to do 4 edge retention tests on the same knife. The thing I'm changing though is the sharpening system. So I have 4 different sharpening systems. I'm going to use each one to the best of my ability to put the best edge I can on this knife here, and then see how many rope cuts it does as per my usual test before it no longer slices a held sheet of paper. The knife I've chosen is the WE Knives Banter in S35V, and it's a pretty easy knife to sharpen with most systems. You can clamp it easily, it's got a flat spot there. It's a pretty nice neutral blade, and an S35V ends a steel that everyone sort of knows and doesn't have anything unusual about it specifically. Between each sharpening, I'm gonna dull it on my friend Bricky here, give him a bit of an old head scratch. Hey, you like that, don't you, buddy? Hey, who likes a head scratch?
Every now and then he wheels me out to add color to a dry video. Which begs the question, if the most interesting thing in your film is a brick, is anyone even watching?
So hopefully we're going to see, well, it's probably a bit to do with skill as well, but we're going to see if there's any great discrepancies between what kind of edge retention you can get sharpening a 17 degree per side edge on this knife with a few different types of systems. So let's get into the systems. So this one is the Worksharp Ken Onion Edition Knife and Tool Sharpener. Now this is a severe upgrade from the original Worksharp Knife and Tool Sharpener that's been on this channel for, gosh, almost 10 years. It would have to be ages. And it's still the similar concept, but it's got some really sort of high-end improvements, so you can have a lot more control and a lot less sort of risk about using what is a pretty powerful tool on your knife blade. So basically, the main differences are here is that you've got a scaled application of the electric power. So you can wind this wheel under here to make it a slow or a fast turn of the machine, and then you can also, there's like an analog sense to the button where it's slower if you pull it gently, and if you pull it all the way in it's harder. You can also lock it shut or lock it on with the sort of side lock button there, which will keep the tool going until you depress the main button again. So you can just sort of set it to on and come at it with your knives in your own time. The belts are almost twice as thick as well, so they do sort of the work faster or more evenly across the knife. You're going to have less chance, due to it being a bit slower or the belt being a bit wider, of less chance of taking off tips or gouging out bits in the knife. Just generally a lot more control. Really cool little knife rests. These little sort of plastic wheels here. You can sort of roll the knife along, keeping it nice and straight. And the guide is completely adjustable without having to remove anything from the tool. You can just roll this wheel here, and that changes your angle, the angle that these two blade rests are at. So you rest your knife on the inside of this sort of black plastic blade rest here and here, and that's what sets the angle. The original Worksharp had basically either on or off power. It had only a momentary on switch, so you had to hold it the whole time, and also you had to fit sort of extra cassettes over the top of the sharpening belt cartridge to let your angle be set. So much higher end version of the same concept. And this always puts on a slight convex edge on your apex, so it's just like you're always going to get with belts that have given them. So that's going to be the most different edge out of all of them. I've got 4 belts that I can move up in increments on: coarse, medium, fine, and then a polishing belt. And so I'll use that on the knife now.
And next up is my newest machine. This is the Worksharp Professional Precision Adjust Sharpener. It's sort of their first big dog, like KME, TSPROF direct competitor. It's got the full-sized stones. They're attachable magnetically, which is probably the best way of all of them so far, I think. I love the magnetic attachment. Works really, really well. It's a strong enough magnet. They never feel like they're going to come off. You get a good series of tiles with them, from pretty rough diamond up to 800, and then a ceramic plate, and then a strop. They all attach the same way. It comes with an angle cube as well for super easy angle adjustment, just to make sure that the markings on the indicator lines there are true. And you fix the knife, you turn the handle over, and it's the same as all the others. It's just easy to repeat your angles and keep it all going. This one is pretty costly. It's getting up there towards the cost of the other, but it's still ever so slightly cheaper. It's mostly made of plastic and I think a bit of aluminium, and in general it feels pretty sturdy. It's not the TSPROF for sure, but it certainly does feel a little bit more sturdy than the KME. So pretty promising start to it, but full review to follow, obviously.
Now this one is the KME knife sharpener. Now the way the KME stands out the most is that, in my opinion, it's got the best range and the most, deluxe set of abrasives. They're not quite as big as the others, but the grits progressions are really sort of broad and wide, and you can get all sorts from 50 grit all the way up to 1500 grit in your diamond stones. And then you've got either lapping films, which stick to glass tiles, and you use oil on them, or you've got strops as well. I'm going to use the lapping films this time because I feel like that gets me the sharpest possible apex of a knife. The KME is it's kind of evolved as it's gone on, so they've added bits to it. It's sort of a modular system. This is the basic unit here. It's just a handheld sort of, basically a little mini, somewhat portable kit, but then the stand is, I think, basically an essential thing for using it as I do. Just holds it fixed, and you can just work away like with all these other ones. Again, 90 degrees is your starting angle, so you only need to do one sort of edge angle calculation with the TSPROF, because it's coming from two angles. You need to zero your measurement again partway through the measuring, but really simple to use. Feels very it feels quite solid, apart from that it's on the stand, just by virtue of the rod sort of fitting into the bottom of this. There's a slight bit of movement to it. This is an old KME now, so I've had this for a long time, probably getting on to about 5 years now, and it's sharpened literally thousands of knives, and it's still holding together pretty well, but in general it's probably showing its age just a little bit, but still very easy to use. Just slide your angle adjuster up and down that axis there, and then you've got usually assist yourself with an angle cube just to make sure you've got everything right. So I'm going to be putting this one to work, going through the stones and then hitting it with the diamond films to get what I hope is going to be a very, very sharp edge. My initial theory is I think this is the sharpest I can get a knife using this guy here. I think that just the progression and the available stones is probably optimum, I think, for the KME. Lastly, I have the TSPROF, and the differential factor of this guy is that it is easily the most heavy duty. This thing is rock solid. It's literally got the heaviest weight, really sort of solid steel platform here, holds it very, very sturdy against the table. Everything is just really machined and finely tuned in, really real precision in how everything sort of twists and turns and operates and sort of locks back in. Once the knife is in this thing, it's not going anywhere. The aluminium clamps here, you can really ratchet them down, and because you've got two of them, you can basically hold any knife from 12 inches to to 4 inches. You just sort of use either one or both of the clamps. So great system here. The Venev stones it comes with the fewest stones. It's only got 5, and there's no strops or anything that it comes with, but they go through a pretty decent range from 150 up to 1,000. Which is, about all you need, and then you might just follow it on with one of your own strops. I just use the stropping wheel on my Tormek after I'm done. So the TSPROF, great system, quite expensive, but yeah, definitely something that feels super sturdy to use, and it puts together pretty easily. It's generally pretty recommendable as well. So this is something that I've got pretty good edges on in the past. I would say that it's not quite to the level of the KME ultra shiny sticky sharp, but definitely in the upper 95% of the sharpness that I've been able to get on a knife. Absolutely with this guy here. Alrighty, conclusions. So the Ken Onion Worksharp cut 250 times. That's obviously not as many, but that's not surprising at all. You see that tool is putting a convex edge on the knife blade, right on the apex. And this is a strong shape, but it's not a shape that's conductive to like absolute sharpness, which is what the V edges do. But this shape will be more durable over the long term. So you're going to have a better working edge for longer, probably more resistant to nicks, and you hit an odd staple, it'll just do a bit of light dulling rather than chipping, that sort of thing. There are lots of good reasons to have a convex edge, but absolute, fine hair shaving edge sharpness isn't really one of them. But that's still a great tool and still something that can sharpen everything in your house. You can take it apart, you can take the cassette off it, use it to sharpen lawnmower blades, use it to sharpen scissors. I've even got the extra blade grinder attachment. Geez, you can reprofile knives and everything with this guy. So really, really versatile all around the Ken Onion. But for this exact application, it's not going to get the absolute best performance. And that's been a trend on this channel for all the testing I've done since I switched from that first Worksharp to more of the dialed in systems. Next was the TSPROF. So the TSPROF, I only used what I had for the TSPROF. Often I'll give it a bit longer on a strop or something else, but I figured, no, we'll just do what the system comes with. And the TSPROF just came with up to 1,000 grit stone. So up to 1,000 grit, you do get a nice shiny edge still, but it's not particularly that extra level, which the strops and the ceramic plates and the lapping films are going to get you. And so that was a pretty standard result. That was about the result I think it usually gets for me, that steel, which makes sense because I've been using the TSPROF for my sharpening basically since I got it for the last 18 months or something like that. So, it's about standard, but I could certainly make that TSPROF go better if I found some leather strop plates for it or something like that. I'm sure of it. Still a great result, still a great tool. That one is definitely the heavy duty one. It feels like the most well-made. It is the most expensive, but it certainly has its place in the range. It's probably the highest learning curve as well, given that the knife doesn't sit at 90 degrees. It sits at sort of a different angle, so you need to kind of reset your angle cube a couple of times, but a great sharpener as well. All of these are great. Spoilers, Twitter summary, all 4 are great. Next was the new Worksharp, the new Professional Precision Pro sharpener from Worksharp. That thing seems great. It seems a bit more sturdy than I initially thought it was. It definitely feels more sturdy than the KME. The KME is, it's dated, and I guess I'll talk about it in a second. It's aged a little bit. That Worksharp is definitely on the cutting edge of kind of what people want in a knife sharpener. So it's got really good abrasives. I love the magnetic attachment that works really well, and in general, really easy to use. And I guess we just see how the stones last and how the tool lasts as I use it more often. This isn't going to be the review of it. The review, it's obviously going to be a fair way away. I like to at least sharpen, 30 knives or something at the very least with a knife sharpener before I tell you if it's worth your money or not. But my initial impression is good. But let's talk about that, by the way, 425 cuts, very good result, owing of course to the good stropping plate and the last few steps, which really do let you hone your edge in. And that was a very sharp, very shiny edge, absolutely. The KME was the one that, and I wasn't surprised because I know how good the abrasives are on the KME. It was the one that got the best edge, I think, the longest lasting edge, only by a little bit, but considering that this thing is showing its age now, like this is, as I said, from both this one in time is about 5 years old now, and it's sharpened over 1,000 knives, and just the design in general. This was one of the pioneer sort of models. There was wicked edges before everyone else started making the fixed angled sharpeners, and so this it was originally sold as this, and then they released the base, which is sort of optional. It would do better. I think it would be more appealing now if they just had it as one fixed sturdy system rather than this modular type design, because it is easily the rattliest one to use, and it feels like the one that you need to perhaps keep an eye on the most. May also just be because mine is older for sure. The stones are also the smallest now out of all of them. Not that I worry too much on a smaller knife like this. Working away, you get most of the blade covered anyway. But yeah, it definitely is showing its its seniority just a little bit. But like other seniors I know, when you let it do its job and you let it operate within the parameters it knows, it does that job very well. And of course, you've got a really good edge to show for it. And those abrasives, those lapping films, the strops, all of the stuff that KME sells is all like the top quality and gets you the best edge result. So that is why, even though this is the oldest and perhaps not the coolest or the most modern,
deep down, somewhere in my heart, I still love you.
Alrighty, that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching. All 4 great systems. We banter. What a great little knife. Honestly, every time I get it out, it's usually I get it out for like a thing like this. I just remember what a great little design it was. Everyone could enjoy this knife, honestly. Big thanks also to my main man, Bricky. Good to get you out here, buddy. Get you some use again. Get you dulling some knives. Always good to see you, old son.
Absolute pleasure to be here, mate. Hey, Pete. I have a riddle for you.
Oh yeah? I'm always up for a riddle.
What's bipedal, carbon-based, and has at least a credit card worth of plastic in its body, constantly crossing the blood-brain barrier and causing all manner of dysphoria both known and yet to be discovered?
You've lost me. What?
Your entire doomed race. YOLO.